All right, so ready to dive in. We're tackling this, well, let's call it a unique text today. It's called God is a being.pdf. Catchy, right?
Definitely piques your curiosity.
It's putting it mildly, but that's kind of the point of these deep dives, right? To wade into the waters that might make you look twice.
And this one, it throws you right into the deep end. No easing in with introductions or anything?
Nope, straight to the point. God is a being, which, okay, I can get behind that as a starting point.
Right, but then it just takes off from there. Suddenly we're talking about this whole hierarchy of being, like some cosmic ladder.
A hierarchy, huh? So break it down for me. What's that all about?
Well, imagine like levels of existence. At the bottom, you've got, I don't know, maybe rocks, just the most basic stuff.
Okay, rocks. Got it. So we're not talking precious gems here, just like basic building blocks of existence.
Exactly. And then, as you go up this hierarchy, things get more, I guess you could say, complex.
Mhm.
Plants, animals, humans, we're all climbing this ladder, striving for something.
Striving towards what exactly?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
The text seems to be saying it's about moving towards a greater state of being, becoming more real, in a sense.
More real, huh? And where does God fit into all of this?
At the very top, of course.
Hmm.
The pinnacle of being, the ultimate source of truth. And get this, the text actually uses a Sia song to illustrate this whole idea.
Hold on, Sia. Like chandelier,
Yeah,
Sia.
the one and only. The text specifically points to the lyrics from Unstoppable. You know, I'm unstoppable, I'm a Porsche with no brakes, I'm invincible.
Okay, I'll admit that's not the connection I was expecting.
Yeah.
What does Sia have to do with God and this whole hierarchy business?
Well, the text argues that those lyrics, even though they're about personal power, also reflect this inherent desire within everything to ascend, to become more. Even in a song about feeling invincible, there's this undercurrent of striving for something more.
So even Sia, in her own pop star way, is chasing after that top rung of the ladder.
In a way, yeah. But hold on, because the text doesn't stop there. It goes on to say, and I'm quoting here, everything is an illusion. Illusions are real. We can only have illusions, but we can have true or false illusions.
Whoa, okay, I'm already feeling a little dizzy. Did we just fall down a rabbit hole?
Maybe a little bit, but stick with me. I think what the text is getting at is that our understanding of reality, it's always filtered through our perceptions, our experiences, our beliefs, basically, illusions.
So it's like we're living in the Matrix, but instead of being plugged into a machine, we're plugged into our own minds.
It's an interesting way to put it. And the key, according to the text, is learning to distinguish between the true illusions, the ones that align with this higher truth, and the false ones that, well, don't.
Easier said than done, right?
Hmm.
I mean, in a world where everything's an illusion, how do we even begin to figure out what's true?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher, for sure. And believe me, the text doesn't make it easy. It talks about this guy reaching for a chocolate bar while Sia's Unstoppable is playing.
Okay, I'm definitely sensing a theme here with the Sia references, but why chocolate? And what's the point of this whole scenario?
So picture this. You're reaching for that chocolate bar, feeling good, feeling unstoppable, right?
Right. Living my best life, chocolate within reach, Sia blasting in the background.
And then, bam, Putin swipes it. Gone.
Wait, Putin? Like Vladimir Putin, where did he even come from?
Exactly. It's completely out of left field. But that's the whole point. The text uses this almost absurd example to make a serious point about the nature of unstoppability.
Okay, I'll bite. What's the connection? What does Putin stealing a chocolate bar have to do with anything?
It's about limitations.
Yeah.
Even when we feel like we're on top of the world, unstoppable in a worldly sense, there's always something or someone that can take it away. Putin, in this case.
So even Sia's unstoppable Porsche could get stuck in traffic or maybe get a flat tire?
Well, yeah, in a way. The text seems to be saying that true unstoppability isn't about being immune to setbacks or challenges. It's about something much deeper, something that transcends those limitations.
Which I'm guessing is where Christ enters the picture.
You're way ahead of me. But yeah, the text goes on to say that Christ embodies this true unstoppability, and not in the way you might think.
Not through some show of force or, like, conquering armies. Right, this isn't exactly your typical mighty warrior narrative.
Not even close. The text actually goes out of its way to say that those kinds of worldly comparisons, they just don't apply here. It's like comparing, I don't know, a firecracker to a supernova.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. One's flashy and loud, sure, but the other is on a whole other level of power.
Exactly. And that's what the text is trying to get across about Christ. It's not about earthly power or achievements. It's about embodying this ultimate truth, that highest point on the hierarchy of being we were talking about.
So it's like, even if Christ had never performed a single miracle, never uttered a parable, the text would still argue that he was the ultimate expression of unstoppability just by virtue of embodying that truth.
That's a really interesting way to put it, and I think you're spot on. It's about being so aligned with that fundamental truth that nothing can shake it.
Which brings us to, I think, one of the most mind-bending parts of this whole text, the part about belief and truth.
Oh, yeah, that's where things get really meta. All those statements about believing in belief and whether belief creates truth. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. Especially that final question. Who am I that opens so no one can close and close so no one can open belief or the truth? I mean, wow. Just trying to wrap my head around that one.
Right. It's like a philosophical riddle, but with like existential stakes.
Exactly. It makes you really think about the nature of belief, you know? Like, we all have things we believe in, but how much power do those beliefs actually have to shape reality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer, but I think the text is pushing us to consider the possibility that there is an objective truth out there, something that exists independently of our beliefs.
And that maybe aligning ourselves with that truth, however we define it, is kind of the whole point of this whole existence thing.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That maybe, just maybe, there's something bigger than us, something that doesn't depend on us to validate it. And that aligning ourselves with that truth however we can is what allows us to tap into that unstoppability the text keeps referencing.
Wow. Okay, so big picture. How does this all connect back to that hierarchy of being we were talking about earlier?
It's all intertwined, really. If we imagine God or the Word of God as representing that ultimate truth at the very top of that hierarchy, then it follows that everything else is striving to move closer to that truth, to align itself with it.
So in a way, it's like that Sia song, we're all unstoppable Porsches, in a sense, trying to navigate the twists and turns of life to reach that ultimate destination.
I love that analogy. It's like we're all capable of tapping into that unstoppable power, that unshakable truth, but it requires us to make conscious choices about where we're headed and what's fueling our journey.
And it's not like we're just aimlessly cruising around either. The text makes it pretty clear that where we end up, what we choose to value along the way, that matters.
Absolutely, yeah. And that brings us back to that Porsche analogy, doesn't it? Remember how the text connects those Sia lyrics directly to Christ?
Unstoppable Porsche with no brakes, invincible. Hard to forget that imagery. It's definitely a bolder comparison than I'm used to seeing in these kinds of discussions.
Right. But it's also kind of brilliant when you think about it because it
Mhm.
cuts through all the noise, all the preconceived notions we might have. It distills this complex idea down to something so simple, so visceral.
Totally. It's like, forget your theological debates and philosophical arguments for a second. We're talking about pure, unadulterated power here, the kind that makes you sit up and pay attention.
Exactly. And I think that's the point. The text wants us to see Christ as this embodiment of unstoppable force, not in a destructive way, but in the sense of being so grounded in truth, so aligned with that ultimate source of being that nothing can stand in the way.
So even if Putin himself tried to flag down that Porsche, he wouldn't even slow down. He'd be left wondering what just hit him.
Pretty much. Nothing can touch it, nothing can impede its progress because it's fueled by something beyond worldly limitations. And that's where this idea of heavenly treasure comes into play.
Okay, so how does a Porsche speeding down the Autobahn lead us to heavenly treasure? I'm not seeing the connection here.
Well, think about it like this. The text is trying to get us to shift our perspective, right? To see beyond the material world and all its limitations.
So it's not about accumulating wealth and possessions or chasing after fleeting pleasures. Those things are just roadkill on the Porsche's unstoppable journey.
Exactly. The text is arguing that true fulfillment, lasting treasure, comes from aligning ourselves with something more enduring, something that transcends the material world.
Something that Putin can't swipe away, no matter how much you might want to.
Exactly. It's about investing in something that can't be touched by decay, corruption, or even a chocolate-loving dictator.
Wow, okay, I see where this is going. So when the text talks about storing up treasures in heaven, it's not talking about some literal vault in the sky.
No, it's about recognizing that true wealth, true security, comes from aligning ourselves with that unstoppable, unshakable truth that transcends the material world.
And that by tapping into that truth, we can also become unstoppable in a sense. Not immune to challenges, of course, but able to navigate them from a place of deeper understanding and purpose.
That's a great way to put it. It's like we're all capable of driving that Porsche, But it takes practice, dedication, and a willingness to let go of the things that are holding us back.
Wow. Well, that was quite a ride. From Sia's Unstoppable to the Nature of Truth, from Putin and chocolate bars to a Porsche with no brakes, I have to say, this text really keeps you on your toes.
It definitely does, but in the best way possible, I think. It pushes us to think outside the box, to question our assumptions, and to consider these profound concepts in a whole new light.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that truth can be found in the most unexpected places, even in a catchy pop song or a bizarre thought experiment involving a certain world leader and a chocolate bar. Who knew?
Right. And it challenges us to think critically about the treasures we're chasing after in our own lives. Are we investing in things that truly matter, things that align us with that ultimate truth, or are we settling for fleeting distractions?
That's a question worth pondering for sure. And on that note, I think we've all earned ourselves a moment of reflection.
I'd say so. Until next time, everyone.